Right now, people are raising their voices, angry over this video showing the arrest of a local teen. Hear from the Madison Police Department as they defend the officers involved. Police, the teen's family, open up about the arrest to News 3.
This is News 3 at 5.
Good evening, everybody. The chances for severe weather continue to grow in southern Wisconsin.
We turn things over now to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti with the latest. Gary?
Been watching the potential for severe weather all day. So far, things have stayed quiet, but that looks like it's about to change. As we start out by taking a look at the visible satellite imagery, notice the amount of clouds over southern Wisconsin. That has kept our temperatures down mainly into the 70s and prevented severe thunderstorms from developing. But notice how the skies are clearing over southwestern Wisconsin and parts of northern Illinois. Now, as we check out rain vision rainfall estimates over the last 24 hours, you can see that most of the rain has been south and west of Madison, but you can see over parts of eastern Iowa last night, they picked up between 2 and some places locally 5 and 6 inches of rain. Now that area is being watched for the potential for severe thunderstorm development. Our temperatures so far in the upper 70s, a few places in the middle 70s. But dew point temperatures continue to climb. They're in the mid to upper 60s, Platteville at 70, so the air is becoming very unstable. And as we look at winds, they're mainly out of the east here, but just to our south across northern Illinois, those winds are out of the south as a warm front is set up across northern Illinois, and that's where the thunderstorm development is likely to take place. Temperatures will drop to about 68 by midnight. Any thunderstorms that develop this evening could become severe, and we are being monitored for a possible tornado watch, perhaps from Madison southward over the next couple of hours. And then look for just a chance for a shower thunderstorm overnight. A much calmer day for tomorrow with showers ending and skies turning partly sunny with a high of 77. Of course, anything breaks, we will have it on the air just as soon as we can.
All right, very good. Thanks a lot, Gary. Developing tonight out of Madison, a video showing the arrest of a local teen is getting national attention. Officers used a taser as they took Janelle Laird into custody yesterday outside of Easttown Mall.
Police say the 18-year-old resisted arrest and is accused of threatening officers. She faces several charges, and the Madison Police Department faces an internal investigation.
We have team coverage on the arrest tonight, and we begin with our Leah Linscheid, who has covered things for us since last night. Leah, what are police saying tonight?
Hi, Mark and Susan. Yeah, we talked to Chief Koval today, who said he understands why it might be tough for people to watch this video, but he said that video only shows part of what happened here at Easttown Mall. And what's more, it's only a tiny percentage of what his department does for this community. That being said, take a look at this video. This was shot by Dan Petrakis. Now, police say 18-year-old Janelle Laird was acting out of control and wouldn't let them arrest her. That altercation coming after she caused a scene inside the mall. That's where she was accusing an employee of stealing her phone. Now, Chief Koval defended his officers, saying they go through rigorous use of force training, adding that out of the 15,000 calls they respond to monthly, the ones requiring force constitute only 0.0025% of them.
Is this a moment in time, one that obviously we have to reflect upon and evaluate and take the proper course, or will this be Madison's defining moment? I'd like to believe it's the former and not the latter.
I felt like they were beating her, and they had no right. Literally, you don't punch somebody in their stomach repeatedly. They need her in her face and in her stomach. Then he tased her in her stomach and her leg. I watched it all.
Abby Van Gelder saw what happened outside Easttown Mall, and she says regardless of the reason Laird was being arrested, she didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this, and there's no excuse for that type of force. Now, Chief Koval said he will not be releasing the names of the officers involved, due in part to some threats that they have received, but he did mention that both of them have previously received medals for saving lives. No word, however, on if there are any violations on their records. Mark and Susan.
Leah Linscheid reporting live from Easttown Mall. Leah, thank you.
Our Valina Jones joins us now. She caught up with the teen's friends and family today. Valina.
Well, that's right, Mark. I'm standing right outside the public safety building where community's members gathered here today. They say they're upset and shocked after seeing that video that Leah just mentioned, and they're asking for Laird to be released and those charges to be dropped. She's currently being held here in the public safety building. Members gathered around here around 1. They say they want answers as to why officers used what they call excessive amounts of force to arrest Laird, despite what the 18-year-old is accused of doing. The charges against her, her sisters say police went too far.
Knowing who my sister is, I really don't see how she deserved this. I really don't see why they would need to take such action. I don't see how she's too strong for them to subdue, that they needed to use such force.
A young black woman is treated 120 pounds like a piece of wheat, thrown to the ground, called every sort of name when she initially called the police. Now we're asking for transparency on both parts.
Now, a team of clergy and mental health officials are attempting to meet with Laird. Community leaders, pastors, and members are also working together to see her released. They're asking for the charges to be dropped and for the police officers to be held accountable. Now, coming up at 6, we'll hear more from Laird's sister, which you just heard from, and she'll explain what the family wants to see, which includes an external investigation into her sister's arrest.
Valina Jones reporting live from downtown Madison. Valina, thank you.
The arrest has many people asking about the use of police force. Dave DeLosier continues our team coverage. Dave.
Yeah, Mark and Susan, you know, when it comes to use of force, a very, very important factor is the context of the call. For example, had this been a call for someone loitering, forceful restraint would not have been acceptable as a first response, but that changed when the call was for someone who allegedly threatened individuals with a knife.
Anytime you evaluate a law enforcement incident or a law enforcement response, the most important thing is appreciating and understanding the context.
Jim Palmer is the executive director of the Wisconsin Professional Police Association. He says the reports that the suspect was armed with a knife dictated the officer's response.
Absolutely. Around 13% of all assaults nationally on law enforcement officers are done by a knife.
And according to the FBI, assaults on law enforcement officers in Wisconsin are on the rise.
Interestingly and shockingly perhaps, in Wisconsin we've seen an increase of 65%, and that is something that is troubling.
Jim Palmer has seen the video of the arrest.
She's clearly still actively resisting, and at that point he utilizes a knee strike, which is a tactic that officers across the country are taught, and it is widely accepted in this situation.
He says because the suspect continued to resist and they couldn't handcuff her, they used a taser.
One in custody, taser deployed, significant exposure to officers, we need to start using backup.
As soon as the taser is deployed, the officer reports that on his radio.
Because the taser was used, the officer also called paramedics to evaluate the suspect. It is then that the knife is found.
One in custody, large crowd, and a knife was just recovered. Knife recovered.
But based upon what has been reported about the nature of the call and what you can clearly see on the part of the young woman's active resistance, I think by any measure, anywhere in the country, the officer's use of force would be deemed appropriate.
Now, Jim Palmer did say that given the turmoil the community has experienced in the past, he understands the reaction of some to what they're seeing, but he says you need to keep in mind that these officers were not only concerned for their own safety because of the report of the knife, but Mark and Susan, keep in mind this was in a shopping mall and there were bystanders that they were worried about as well.
And there was a knife.
And there was a knife.
Dave DeLosier, thank you. News 3 is committed to this story. Our live team coverage of this arrest and the protests stemming from it will continue tonight on News 3 at 6.
Parts of Highway 30 in Madison are closed right now. Police say a woman is in critical condition after she was hit by a car. The crash happened on Highway 30 between the interstate and Highway 51. The eastbound lanes of 30 are expected to be closed for several more hours. One person died during a fire at a group home early this morning. Firefighters were called to the facility in Appleton around 6 a.m. They found a body inside after the fire was put out. Another person was treated for smoke inhalation. The state fire marshal is investigating, which is standard procedure if a death is involved. Several departments helped with a fire at a landscape business overnight in Oconomowoc. The building that holds mulch and fertilizer made it dangerous for firefighters. It's still unclear what caused that fire.
We have new information tonight on the dismissal of an athletic director earlier this year at West High School. A former football coach had alleged racial discrimination. The report details whether district officials thought that was the case and more about how they handled an alleged sexual assault. Jessica Arpel explained more on this investigation coming up tonight on News 3 at 6. A longtime leader of the University of Madison Police Department is retiring. Chief Sue Reisling has been part of the department for 25 years. She plans to retire in August. She's leaving to lead a group dedicated to helping campus law enforcement administrators. UW officials say Reisling is the first woman and the youngest person to lead a Big Ten university police force. They add that during her tenure, campus crime rates dropped 40-year lows. Assistant Chief Brian Bridges will serve as interim chief.
In Rock County, students with the State Line Boys and Girls Club got to experience what it would be like to be a police officer today. They participated in a mini police academy through Black Hawk Technical College. They got to see a canine demonstration and learned about fighting crime and collecting evidence. One recruit says the mini academy is beneficial for both the officers and the students.
We're going to be public figures with whatever community that we serve, and for these kids to have somebody that they can go to willingly and not be afraid of us. That's a good relationship that we're going to have with these kids for many, many years.
The students also took part in the Running Man Challenge with the recruits. The BTC Law Enforcement Academy challenged Rock County 911 to respond with a similar video.
The Wisconsin State Fair will now have metal detectors at entrance gates. Fair officials made the announcement today. They hope the detectors will help ensure the safety of fairgoers. Organizers do not allow weapons of any kind on state fairgrounds. Another popular Wisconsin event, Summerfest, also added metal detectors this year. Well, a popular Wisconsin roller coaster is still closed to the public. Several people were hurt Monday during an accident involving the Zippin' Pippin. The ride is part of the Green Bay's Bay Beach Amusement Park. Riders say an occupied train car failed to stop, hitting an empty car in the loading area. Green Bay's mayor is getting involved in the investigation.
Get, hundreds of thousands of riders again, but we're not going to open that. I mean, I'll be the first one on there when we reopen it.
I don't think it was serious enough to worry about anyway.
The coaster will remain closed for the rest of the week until the investigation is complete.
A Wisconsin school hopes to break down barriers during playtime. Plans are in the works to bring an all-abilities playground to Southview Elementary School. The school is in Chippewa Falls, around 3 hours northwest of Madison. The playground will include things like ramps and special hand grips to allow kids in wheelchairs and walkers to explore.
Well, coming up on News 3 at 5, in the wake of the Orlando nightclub shooting, dozens of lawmakers are demanding action on gun control by staging a sit-in on Capitol Hill, what they want done before their upcoming holiday break.
And it was a day of celebration today in Cleveland, creating some concerning times for some people. The problems that popped up in the city during the NBA championship parade. That's when News 3 at 5 continues.
The debate over gun control has some members of Congress demanding action, including several lawmakers from Wisconsin.
Democratic lawmakers are staging a protest on the floor of the House chamber. Wisconsin Representatives Gwen Moore and Mark Pocan are taking part, along with Senator Tammy Baldwin. This after 4 measures dealing with background checks and the ability of people on the terror watch list to buy guns failed earlier this week.
We're calling on the leadership of the House to bring common sense gun control legislation to the House floor. Give us a vote.
Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine crafted a new gun control amendment, which is gaining support from members of both parties, but no vote has been scheduled in the Senate. The NRA opposes the legislation, calling it unconstitutional.
Meanwhile, on the campaign trail, Donald Trump is firing back, going after Hillary Clinton in a scathing speech, calling her a world-class liar and saying she doesn't have the judgment nor temperament to be president. It all comes a day after Clinton bashed the billionaire's business skills. During a nearly hour-long speech in New York, the Republican said Clinton almost single-handedly destabilized the Middle East as Secretary of State.
Her decision spread death, destruction, and terrorism everywhere she touched.
Every American willing to work hard should be able to find a job that pays enough to support a family.
Clinton followed Trump's attacks with a speech laying out her own goals for the economy, adding she would make the investments needed to create new good-paying jobs. Clinton plans to campaign Monday with Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts.
The state of Michigan is taking legal action against 2 companies linked to the Flint water crisis. The state's attorney general made the announcement this morning, more than 2 years after water from the Flint River corroded the city's lead pipes. The companies named in the suits are Lockwood Andrews and Newman, or LAN, which is based in Texas, and Veolia North America, a global company based in France. The lawsuits seek information and documents related to the handling of Flint's water. Michigan's attorney general says the suits could mean hundreds of millions of dollars in damages.
An intense heat wave in the Southwest is beginning to let up, but firefighters are still busy trying to contain dozens of wildfires in the region. 2 of them, burning near Los Angeles, are close to merging into one. The 2 fires, called the San Gabriel Complex, first flared up on Monday, charring thousands of acres and forcing hundreds to evacuate. Some residents are being allowed back home today, and firefighters say cooler temperatures are helping. And the heat caused problems during the NBA championship parade today. First responders in Cleveland received hundreds of 911 calls about people passing out during the event. The large crowds also made it hard for them to reach the victims. Roughly 1.3 million people attended today's parade. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Golden State Warriors on Sunday in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Well, for us, it wasn't very warm today, but it is very humid, and we're watching another chance for some storms later tonight. Gary's out on the patio. Hi, Gary.
Hi. So far, like we talked about yesterday, the cloud cover and the showers from this morning have held our temperatures down, and right now it looks like the highest severe weather threat will be across northern Illinois, but there is the potential for some severe weather still into Wisconsin. Let's start out by taking a look at high-resolution Doppler 3000. Looks like we're starting to see some shower and thunderstorm development over eastern Iowa. This area could explode very quickly into some severe thunderstorms. Storm Prediction Center is watching this area closely, and once the storms develop, they'll probably issue a tornado watch. Maybe it might include parts of southern Wisconsin. The mesoscale discussion that they had to highlight the area for severe weather did include southern Wisconsin. The general movement of these thunderstorms may be far enough to the southeast that they may stay mainly south of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. But you can see how these showers have started to develop just within the last hour or so. The rest of southern Wisconsin pretty quiet, although we're getting a little bit of a sprinkle here in the backyard, too light to be detected by Doppler 3000. But you can also see some thunderstorms through the Chicago area, and then some storms up across northern Minnesota that could fire up into parts of central Wisconsin later on tonight. Now, the severe weather threat area pretty much unchanged since yesterday. A moderate risk of severe thunderstorms for far southern Wisconsin, mainly into northern Illinois, and then enhanced and slight risks of severe thunderstorms across the rest of southern Wisconsin. Hail, high winds, probably the main threats. The tornado threat might be a little bit higher across northern Illinois before the storms eventually congeal into a line of fast-moving thunderstorms that could cause some widespread wind damage as they head toward the Chicago area. Time-lapse from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville shows a little bit of clearing, and then all of a sudden the clouds came right back in, and you can see mostly cloudy skies right now in Platteville. The live view from the Edgewater Skycam shows mostly cloudy skies as well in downtown Madison. Temperature 78. Winds are variable, mainly from the east at 7 miles per hour. The dew point temperature, though, very high at 66. Over the last 48 hours, you can see very heavy rains over parts of eastern Iowa. Some places picked up between 3 and 4 inches of rain. And even Dubuque, Iowa, picked up about 1.5 inches of rain, while Madison just barely got 1/100th of an inch of rain. Temperatures mainly in the 70s, where the clouds and the showers have cooled things down. Notice how Iowa is heated up into the 80s and even some 90s as you get into central Iowa. And dew point temperatures there are into the mid-70s down toward Moline, Illinois. So very humid air just south of that area where those thunderstorms will develop. Notice the shift in winds, too. Winds across Wisconsin, mainly out of the east. They're out of the south across northern Illinois, so that front probably very close to the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. That's why the Storm Prediction Center monitoring this area very closely for the potential for severe weather. So for tonight, showers and thunderstorms will develop. Some of those could become severe this evening. Hail and high winds, the main threat. Low temperature at 62. Tomorrow, we'll see showers end in the morning. Then it'll turn partly sunny with a high of 77. Pinpoint City forecast for tomorrow, 76 in Beaver Dam, 77 in Monona with more sunshine in the afternoon. And Friday will be sunny and warmer with a high of 83 in Jefferson and up to 85 in Reedsburg. South and west of Madison, chance for a morning shower, then some sunshine in the afternoon. 77 in Verona, 77 in Richland Center, and sunny and warmer on Friday with a high of 86 in Platteville and 84 in Janesville. 7-day forecast. More humidity for the weekend, along with temperatures in the upper 80s. Slight chance for a shower or thunderstorm Saturday. Better chances later Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then just a slight chance Sunday afternoon. Then dry weather with temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s early next week. Some nice weather for a change at that point.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. Well, they have the makings of a good sci-fi movie plot.
Why more and more people are opting to get chip implants. See how they work next at 5.
Well, microchip implants are a very popular way to keep track of pets, and now some people are getting them.
They can help unlock doors, log onto a cell phone. Hannah Daniels shows us how they work.
Tim Shank's dogs have implanted GPS chips in case they get lost. Now he has a chip of his own.
This is an NFC chip, so it's similar to what phones have nowadays.
The Minnesota software engineer had his finger cut open to put this tiny chip inside.
There is the chip,
which emits low frequencies. He programmed the chip to open his smart lock at home.
So that unlocks my door.
And manipulate his smartphone.
And it turned off my ringer.
Chrissy Heischman from Dallas has one too.
And it's just a little glass bead like the size of a grain of rice.
She uses hers instead of a key card at work. The online company Dangerous Things sells the device and an injection kit for $57. But the implants aren't being done in a doctor's office.
This is my day-to-day life.
Tattoo and piercing shops in several parts of the country are performing this procedure.
We're doing the procedure start to finish just like we would do an earring, a nose ring, a belly button ring. It's just a little piece of glass.
Dangerous Things warns customers on its site. This device has not been tested or certified by any regulatory agency for implantation or use in the human body. Use of this device is strictly at your own risk.
Most of our customers kind of understand what they're doing, and they understand the risk.
There's always a risk for infection if the procedure isn't done properly. But for Shank and others, the risk is worth the convenience. Hannah Daniels, CBS News, New York.
What's the name of the company? Dangerous
Things?
A quiet day on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials lost 48 points, closing at 17,780. The NASDAQ Composite Index gave up 10, while the S&P 500 fell 3.
We're back with a final check on the weather when News 3 at 5 returns. This update just into us. The woman involved in a crash on Highway 30 in Madison has died. Police say she was hit by a car between the interstate and Highway 51. The eastbound lanes of 30 are closed right now, and police are asking people to avoid the area.
Gary's here with one final check of the weather.
Watching some showers and thunderstorms starting to develop across eastern Iowa. I think that's where the initial development will take place. Could clip parts of southwestern Wisconsin. Being monitored for a possible weather watch, so we'll keep an eye on it.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See you back here for News 3 at 6.